my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. Fall season is almost upon us and I feel like we always get the most exciting new releases this time of year. September, there are a ton. I say this every month, but it's so true for this month. I think I have more pre-order campaigns to talk about than I ever have in the past. Some really exciting releases, some new to me authors, wide range of genres, a lot of strong fall vibes. So I'm gonna be here for a while. I have my drink ready to go and we'll dive into it. Starting with September 2nd, we have A Land So Wide by Erin A. Craig, which is so exciting for me because A House of Roots and Ruin, which actually is the second book in her series, is one of my favorite books. It gives me such strong fall vibes, so I think starting off the season with something by her is perfect. This is also drawing some inspiration from Scottish folklore, and we're following Greer, and she lives in this small town. It's a lumber community and they are prosperous. Many people have moved to this city to get rich because there's a lot of natural resources within the woods, but everything comes at a cost. Obviously there's danger in the woods, so the typical suspects, bears, wolves, but there's also something called bright-eyed, and they are monsters that have rained utter destruction on this community. But the founders of this town have made some kind of deal with a benevolence where there are warding stones, which means that these bright-eyes can't enter the community, but nobody within the town can leave. But Greer is a map maker, and obviously somebody with that job has some aspirations to explore the world, which she cannot do. But she has a longtime partner named Alice, and they have these dreams together, and one day Alice goes missing, and Greer is determined to find them. And it says that Greer is being hunted not only by the ruthless bright-eyes, but by the secret truths beyond Mistaken, that's the town, Mistaken's founding, as well as her own origins. So one thing that Erin A. Craig is great at is atmosphere, and I think she's gonna nail that in this one, so I can't wait to read it. Next is a book that I already had the privilege of reading and absolutely loved. It's my favorite romance of the year so far, and it's gonna be a hard one to top, but it is Sweet Heat by Baloo Babalola, and this is the sequel to Honey and Spice, and you do have to read the first one to appreciate the second one. That is all I will say about this. But the first book is a college romance, and this one is following characters in their 30s, and they are dealing with adult issues of having a job, but maybe not being as passionate in your career, being in a relationship that feels comfortable but maybe not exciting, and what it takes to be brave enough to explore what you really want, go against what family might expect from you. And we're also following our main character's best friend's wedding, and she's a bit of a bridezilla but holding on to that friendship, so there's a lot of themes explored in this one. I love the friend group, I love the dynamics, lots of angst, lots of tension. If you are interested in the music industry at all, there's some of that in here as well, and I just think that this is one of the best romances I've ever read, and this author's writing is incredible. Nobody writes chemistry quite like this, and I can't wait to get a physical copy so I can annotate it because this book deserves it. We're getting a lot more fall romances this year than I think we have in the past, with fall leaves on the covers and things like that. I think people have realized that a lot of readers love seasonal reads and vibes. So this one is very cute. It's called If It Makes You Happy. It's by Julie Olivia, and the synopsis is short. I'm gonna read it to you because it's cute. It says, my new next door neighbor seems to have everything figured out. Small town golden boy check, single dad extraordinaire check, hot baker forearms. I didn't notice them, I swear. I, on the other hand, don't at all have anything figured out. Trust me, I didn't think taking over my mom's dream bed and breakfast in Cooper Run, Vermont was going to be easy. It should be a good place to heal after my divorce. But apparently my scones belong in the garbage with my small talk skills, as pointed out by none other than Cliff. Cliff is inescapable. He knows exactly what people need always. His charm, the way he wears flannel, and his pastries make not wanting to be friends with Cliff and his daughter pretty hard. Friends, I can make friends. That's safe. Except I'm leaving in 3 months to pass off the inn to my little sister and get in the promotion in Seattle I've been working towards. So ask me why I'm thinking about kissing my hot neighbor. So it just sounds really sweet, and I love a good foodie romance. I love that he is a baker and he has good forearms. What more do I want? I am really into the cover of this next one. It's called A Blood as Bright as the Moon by Andrea Morstabolini, and this is a vampire story. A vampire desperately torn between worlds is hunted down by a secret society bent on his destruction. And this is a queer gothic horror, and they say it's perfect for fans of T. Kingfisher and Sylvia Marina Garcia, so two of my favorites. So the concept of this one seems a little out there. It's set in Frankenstein, Germany. We're following Ambrose. He is a young vampire. He lives with other vampires within this clan, and they are separated from humans, and they have been lured in by this vampire named Regina, and they think that she is going to be their savior. And this is where the strangeness comes in. They're going to make wings and fly to the moon, where apparently there's a settlement there for vampires. But Ambrose has a secret. He is in touch with a human who has told him that they can save him, and he is torn between loyalty to the clan and what he really wants. There's, however, something else is on the horizon. A group with sinister plans for vampires are closing in, and if Ambrose isn't careful, he could find himself right at the center of a terrifying and mysterious experiment. So lots going on there. Sounds unique, and you know, it's September. I'm always up for a vampire story, and again, the cover is epic. I actually have an e-arc of this next one, and I hope to get to it soon, and it's Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I didn't realize that this is actually a prequel to Divine Rivals, and I haven't read Divine Rivals, so it'll be interesting for me to read it in chronological order rather than publication order, because I know a lot of people will probably be doing the opposite, so I'm hoping that it works that way. I'm sure it will. It's a prequel. And this sounds really interesting, and I want to get on the Rebecca Ross hype train. We're following Matilda, and she's the youngest goddess in her clan, and she has something called messenger magic. So I think there are different realms within this world, and she's somebody who's able to jump through them all and deliver messages. And she has a deep, dark secret, as they often do, that she can't share with anybody, even her closest allies. And there is a boy that dreams about her, and he's dreamt about her for years before he's even met her. And then one day, she tumbles into his bedroom window with a message, and it says, as fate would have it, Matilda and Vincent are destined to find each other beyond dreams. There may be a chance for Matilda to rewrite the blood-soaked ways of the gods, but at an immense sacrifice. She will have to face something she fears even more than losing her magic, to be vulnerable and to allow herself to finally be loved. Angeline Boulley has a new book coming out, which is really exciting because The Firekeeper's Daughter is one of my favorites. This one is called Sisters in the Wind, and it says it's a daring new mystery about a foster teen claiming her heritage on her own terms. So Lucy's father passed away 5 years ago, and since then she's kind of been on the run. She doesn't want to be a ward of the state, but then somebody is interested in her case, and he seems very kind, as is his friend who's not a friend, and they really want to help her, but she's had a hard time trusting anybody, but there's something about them that she wants to trust. Then they reveal to her the truth that her father has always kept from her, that she is Ojibwe, that she has or had a sister and other siblings, and that she has a grandmother and a home that would be willing to take her in. But Lucy is being followed. The past has destroyed any chance of normal she has had, and now the secret she's hiding will swallow her whole and take away the future she has always dreamed of. And I just know that Angeline Boulley is an incredible writer and a hard-hitting writer. And there is a pre-order campaign, and I'm not sure if it's over by the time you see this video because it does come out on September 2nd, but I'm gonna leave a link just in case, because you do get a really stunning page overlay, and you know how much I love those. So if it's still available, it will be linked down below. Moving on to September 9th, we actually have Andrew Joseph White's adult debut, which is really fun because he normally writes YA novels, and I haven't read any of them, but I've heard they're absolutely incredible. All are on my TBR. But this one is You Weren't Meant to Be Human. This is a story about identity, survival, and transformation amidst an alien invasion in the rural West Virginia. A lot of alien invasion stories this year. That seems to be a common thing. Again, this seems really out there and interesting and unique. It's set in the Appalachian, and there are hives of worms and flies that give refuge to a select few humans, and our main character is one of them, named Crane. It says Crane has found a chance to transition, to never speak again, to live a life that won't destroy him. He even met Levi, a handsome ex-Marine and a brutal killer who treats him like a real man, mostly. And then this gets into some deeper conversations and important conversations, because Crane does become pregnant, and the hive who gave him refuge is now forcing this pregnancy on him, and they want to keep the child, and this is something that Crane absolutely does not want to happen. And it says that Crane's desperation to make it stop will drive the community that saved him into a devastating spiral that can only end in blood. It's a deeply personal horror, a visceral statement about the lives of marginalized people in a hostile world. And it says that it echoes the works of Stephen Graham Jones and Eric LaRocca. So it'll be interesting to see what this author does in the adult space. And this does sound like it's an important book and fairly unique. And of course I want to read some horror in the fall, and I like personal horror like this, so that is definitely one that's on my radar. ML Rio, who wrote If We Were Villains, it's a full-length novel coming out. I know there's a short story that came out last year, but we've all been waiting years for a full-length novel, and this one is called Hot Wax. And as you can see by the record on the cover, there's some music involved in this one. It says it's a vivid and immersive tale of one woman's reckless mission to make sense of the events that shattered her childhood and made her who she is. So it begins in summer 1989, and we're following Suzanne, who is 10 years old, and she's been fascinated by her dad's world. He is in a band, and her parents get divorced, and when her mom gets remarried, she is able to spend the summer on tour with her dad. And it says, as the band blazes up the charts, internal power struggles set his group on a collision course destined for a bloody reckoning, one shrouded in mystery and lore for decades to come. And Suzanne is the only witness to this act of violence, and she spends the next 29 years trying to disappear. So then we flash forward to her as an adult, and she is married. She lives in the suburbs. She has a normal life, and she's just trying to forget the events of her past. But then she gets a call that her father has died. And this brings a lot up for her, and she decides to get in her dad's old car and hit the road and try to get some answers. And it says that she finds everything she thought she'd lost forever: desire, adventure, and the woman she once wanted to be. But her husband refuses to let her go, and he wants to bring her back where she belongs. He chases her across the country and drives her to a desperation all her own. It is a breakneck ride to hell and back, where getting lost might be the only way to find yourself and save your soul. Kind of sounded like that book, is it Lost Gods by Bram, that I read, where it was like 80s and there was a deal with the devil and it was based around music. That's the vibe I'm getting from this one. It sounds very different than If We Were Villains, so I'm curious to see how I feel about it. I feel like Rachel Harrison comes out with a new one every year, and I jumped on the Rachel Harrison train last year, so I'm excited about this one. And this one is Play Nice, and I do love a good haunted house story, and I think she does a good job with them because she's written a couple. So this is following Cleo, who seems to have a picture perfect life. She is a stylist and an influencer, but her mother passes away, and her sisters are left this house that they now have to deal with. But this house brings up a lot of the horrors of their past. When they were children, their parents got divorced and they moved into this house with their mom, and their mom was convinced that it was possessed, not by ghosts, but by demons. And she becomes so obsessed with this idea that eventually the girls go into foster care and they just try to forget their past, and now this is bringing it all up for them. Cleo's sisters don't want anything to do with it, but she sees it as a good opportunity to flip the house, make social media content about it. But the more she lives in the house, the more she realizes that maybe everything her mom said about it is true. Bowman-Young is an author who I finally read from this year, and I think has potential to become a favorite, even though I've only read one book from her. I understand why she's so hyped just from that one book, so I'm excited about this one. It's called People Watching, and it's another book with fall leaves on the cover, and it just draws me in. And it's also another book set in Canada, Northern Ontario specifically, where I live. So that's different and will feel nostalgic, I'm sure. So it's following Prudence, who lives in a tourist town in Northern Ontario. I'm not sure that we have many tourist towns up there, but sure. And she works for her father's gas station, and she's taking care of her mother, who has early onset Alzheimer's. And she's happy with this quiet life, but she also feels like she needs a bit of a change. She's a bit stuck in her life, and that is when Milo comes to town. And the two of them have instant chemistry, and they build up a friendship, but they also strike a deal. It says a sexy agreement between the two of them. So I wonder if it's fake dating at all. We'll see where that leads to. It says Milo, a man of many adventures and countless stories, is not one to settle down, but his brother's urgent need for help has brought him to Baysville, and now the intriguing Prue has given him more reason to stay. But as their temporary arrangement blossoms into something deeper, Prue and Milo discover that getting out of their comfort zones is one thing. Taking the leap together is something else entirely. And there is a pre-order campaign for this one, which is American only, which upsets me as a Canadian since this is set in Canada. But if you buy from Literati Bookstore, you will receive this art print and a sticker bundle, and the stickers are so adorable. Give me all of the sapphic witchy romances. This one's really cute. It's by Bridget Morrissey, who I've read from in the past and really loved. This is everything she does is magic. Look how cute this cover is, so sweet. It's set in Fableview, where every day is Halloween. And it follows Darcy, who is like the town cheerleader, and she's the girl next door, and she loves the fall festivities, but secretly she's ready to leave for college next year, despite the fact that her parents expect her to stay in town and run their Halloween empire. And then we also follow Anya, who is brooding, and she's a real life witch, and she's almost a full-blown coven member. But in order to be fully initiated, she has to have a mortal who can be her protector, but she has no friends because she moves so often. So she lies and she tells the coven that Darcy, who is her secret crush, has agreed to take this on, and the two of them agree to work together so that Anya can be part of the coven and Darcy can get the confidence to tell her parents that she wants to leave town. It says they attend everything from a costume parade to a pumpkin patch party to an apple bobbing contest, and I love all that. Give me all of the fall events. Just don't tell me that it's set in fall or that it's Halloween every day, and don't show it to me. So I hope we get that. And it says, but with Anya's magical powers and Darcy's future independence on the line, the last thing they need is the added complication of pesky feelings. So cute. Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis, who I also feel like I read something from and really liked. I have to look that up. Yes, The Undead Truth of Us. That is so underrated. Definitely try that one, but this is something new. But this book is set in Kansas, and we're following Mira, who has always heard of the local legends of her town, where many years ago, werewolves came to the community to protect them all from vampires. So another werewolf vampire story. And as she's grown up, she stopped believing in these things. And now she's a college freshman, and she sees a mysterious boy named Julian. And it says that Julian is a mysterious boy with long hair, golden eyes, and a coldness that seems directed exclusively at her. And then she receives an unaddressed letter from her mother. Her mother had disappeared years ago and is told the world isn't as it seems. She suspects her mom might be telling the truth when she stumbles across strange animal tracks on a hiking trail, and when she's miraculously saved from a 20-foot drop by one and only Julian. And Julian had to make quite the leap to save her, which she calls him out on and he completely denies. And when the blood moon rises, she finds herself in the middle of an ancient magical war, and Julian is on the other side. She discovers there's much more truth to her old town legends than she could have ever anticipated, and her family history in it will change the world forever. So I'm not usually the biggest werewolf fan, but we seem to be getting more of them, and I like some of the unique ideas, and when you add a vampire into it, I'm here for it, and I already know I like this author's writing. And there's really stunning pre-order campaigns for this. There's actually 2. So if you pre-order from a participating bookstore, you get a signed limited edition copy, you get this art print, and you get a pomegranate sticker, which is cute. And if you order from any retailer or you request it from your library, you can submit your receipt and you get a bonus chapter from Julian's perspective, and you also get a surprise page overlay, one of my favorites. So if you're interested in this book, definitely do that. And you can probably get both if you pre-order from the participating bookstore and then submit your receipt as well. Then we have Song of the Hell Witch by Taylor Hartley, and it says, rekindled romance spreads new wings in this atmospheric romantasy where magic empowers women trapped inside an oppressive patriarchy. We're following Prudence, who used to live on the streets, and now she has clawed her way into the higher society, and she's now the Duchess of Townsbury. And it says all she has to do to protect her fragile position is to maintain her active gentility, make her husband happy, and keep her monstrous magic a secret. And it also follows Puck, who's a thief lord of Townsbury, and he had said he once delighted in taking risks and humiliating the social elite at any cost, but now he lives a quieter life because he has a daughter who he has to protect and take care of, and she has a mysterious illness. And then one day Prudence's magic betrays her and she has to go on the run, and she seeks help from Puck, who is an old friend of hers, and maybe they were once together and had a bit of a romance. And they hear about this community where people with magic can go and be free, and they are on the run together because they think maybe it will help Puck's daughter as well. And it says, with his daughter's illness claiming more of her strength, Prue and Puck must work together to reach Stormlash, and in the process confront a growing evil threatening to devour the country they call home. It's a second chance romantic fantasy that features monstrous women stepping into their full power, a father who will do anything to save his daughter, and the rekindled flame of an old enduring love. So you don't get a lot of second chance romances in romantasy, so I think that's something different, and we'll see how I feel about this one. And there's a pre-order campaign, so if you pre-order it from Park Road Bookstore, you will get a signed copy and an art print. Finally, moving on to September 16th, we have Love at First Fright, and this is by Nadia Al-Fassi, and she wrote Best Text Ever, which I read last, maybe September, and liked but didn't love, but I'm definitely curious to read more from her. And that one was a witchy romance. This one is more ghosty, it feels like. It's a spicy paranormal romance where a successful horror author whose novel is being adapted into a movie clashes with the actor cast as the male lead, all in a cozy mansion filled with ghosts. So Rosemary has always been able to see the dead, and this has never scared her. It actually inspired a lot of her horror novels, and her most popular one is being made into this movie. And the movie's being filmed at this mansion in the English countryside, so it's no surprise that it's full of ghosts. But the thing that's really distracting her is the handsome, charming male lead, who she actually thinks is wrong for the role. So we're following Ellis, who has always been a heartthrob, and he has been the lead man in action movies and stuff like that, but he's getting older and he just thinks that doesn't fit him anymore, and he secretly wants to be a gardener and go back home to his farm and have a peaceful life with his dog. And he thinks that doing this horror movie would maybe change his identity and he hears that the author is not happy with this casting and he wants to change her mind. He's not happy about that at all. So obviously they're destined to have a lot of great banter, which I'm excited about. And as this is all happening, the house itself actually becomes alive. It says, trying to balance the mayhem of her writing deadlines, an adorable ghostly dog, and a pair of Regency era women who are definitely nothing more than friends, Rosemary is at risk of telling Alice her secret, or worse, falling for him. Vicky Payne has a new book out. She wrote some of those Jane Austen retellings. Sex, Lies, and Sensibilities is the one that comes to mind. But this looks like it's more of a suspense romance, which is a genre that I'm a little bit eerie of, but I'm dipping my toes in, and this one looks really good. It's called The Princess and the PI. An amateur online sleuth must enlist the help of a jaded PI to clear her name while taking down a shady tech startup in this exhilarating romantic caper. So this follows Fiona, and she's actually famous online, on Reddit specifically, and she's a bit of an amateur sleuth, and she helps solve cold cases, but she also will investigate like reality TV scandals, and she's doing all this as a way to escape her super religious home life. And she thinks that she can bring her online skills into the real world when her late brother's invention is stolen by this tech startup and it goes wrong. And at the end of the day, she is accused of a murder. And then we're following Maurice, who is a PI, and what keeps him up at night is the case that he could never solve. And he somehow runs into Fiona and gets interested in her case, and he realizes that she's not a damsel in distress, but he wants to help her. The two of them start to work together to prove her innocence and to get back her brother's invention. And she wants to learn more about the industry as well. And it says, with every late night stakeout and tension-filled interrogation, their partnership starts to feel a little too close for comfort. To bring the real killer to light, they'll need to trust each other, and that might be the most dangerous gamble of all. Another one I have an e-arc of, and is on my TBR and hope to get to soon because it just looks cute. It's Hopelessly T-voted, and this is by Audrey Goldberg-Ruoff, and I love the cover. There's a cat on it. It's very witchy. So this follows Azriel, and he's a witch, and he has to return back to his hometown when his parents passed away, and he has to figure out what to do with the family manor. But he's also returning home because he has failed as a screenwriter and he just doesn't want anybody to know. And it also follows Victoria, who's like the girl next door, and they lost touch after they had an awkward incident in college. And she's been disowned by her parents because she actually dropped out of business school and bought Azriel's family house, and it is like a tea shop and she wants to run it. And this is a little convoluted part, I guess. Her parents made some kind of deal with a lesser devil where she now has the ability to touch something that somebody who's passed away has treasured and bring that person back to life, but she owes this devil some souls. And then they start getting warnings from spirits all over town, including his parents, that there's a threat coming and they must work together to save themselves and the community. So I do have an arc of this one, as I said, and I hope to get to that very, very soon. Naomi Novik has a novella coming out called The Summer War. It says a young witch who has inadvertently cursed her brother to live a life without love must find a way to undo the spell. Cecilia didn't even know that she had any magic until the day that her brother leaves her for college, and she's left alone in this war-torn country, and through her anger she said some words that she didn't realize would put this curse on him. And now he's making his way through their world, forced to find fame and glory, but never actually finding love, which is what he really wants, and she's determined to break this curse. And she's never been able to find a solution until she learns about this century-long war between her people and something called the Summerlings, and these are immortal beings that hold a grudge against their neighbors, her people. And then it says, with the aid of her unwanted middle brother, Celia may be able to both undo her eldest brother's curse and heal the lands so long torn apart by the Summer War. Ryan Sala is another beloved author who I have all his books in my TBR but haven't read from. I know I'm gonna love his stuff, but this one's called The Dead of Summer, and the tagline is, don't move, don't blink, don't breathe. I'm gonna read you the synopsis of this one because it's short and it's so well done. It says, welcome to the island of Anchor's Mercy. For generations, Anchor's Mercy has welcomed visitors from all over the world to revel in the island's pristine beauty and queer culture. And Ollie Velmond is going to have to figure it out if he wants to stop his island and never one upon it from drowning within a supernatural radiant plague rising from the waves. Take a deep breath. Told as a kaleidoscopic drama between past and present, narration and interview, text and pictures, The Dead of Summer is a story within a scavenger hunt for truths so dangerous they will make your skin crawl and your lungs ache for air. Get ready to scream. Everything about that sounds so good. The fact that it is told through interviews and text and pictures, we're getting mixed media in this, sounds like it's so unique. and the dead of summer, so it might be a good one to read the moment it comes out. And then it's gonna have one of the best pre-order campaigns I've ever seen. You get this t-shirt. Look at this t-shirt. It is so cool and unique. I'm sure it's while supplies last, so if there are any left, I'll leave the link down below. No Rest for the Wicked is next. This is by Rachel Louise Adams. It says that it reads like an edge of your seat, heart-pounding, scary movie. In one Halloween-obsessed Midwestern town, everyone's on red alert after a local politician goes missing. Little do they know, it's only the beginning. This is set in another town that is famous for Halloween festivities, but there are a lot of violent deaths linked to the holiday. And it's following Dolores, who is a forensic pathologist, and she hasn't returned to the town in 20 years, but she gets a call that her father, who is a local politician, has gone missing, so of course she rushes home. And she can't help but wonder about her father's final warning to her, which was to trust no one, and when she returns home, she gets a chilling welcome from her entire family. And it says, with Halloween Fest approaching, Dolores must face the past she left behind before it's too late. September 23rd, the first book is the book that I'm currently reading. I have an e-arc from it. It's called Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vasti. And this is a Victorian romance. It's sapphic. It's following two Gothic novelists. And they have this rivals to lovers romance because they're writing within the same genre. And there are a lot of parallels between the stories, like same plots, same character names, a lot of the same settings. And when one of them goes to confront the other, she realizes that they actually know each other. They grew up with one another. One of the girls grew up wealthy, and the other one is the daughter of their butler. But something happened back then, and they no longer speak. And they both are passionate about their novels, and they're doing it for different reasons. And we see that they have an instant attraction for one another, and maybe there was an attraction back then as well. But they also need to focus on their careers, and I'm loving it so far. It's so good. And there are a ton of pre-order campaigns for this. There is a collection of bookmarks, and I think the whole point is to try and collect them all. So there are different bookstores where you can get different bookmarks. And then if you do Blue Cypress books, you also get a page overlay, and you get the blue bookmark. So I'll leave all that information down below. Sarah Gailey has a new book coming out called Spread Me. So this is actually a survival story, and it says that a routine probe at a research station turns deadly when the team discovers a strange specimen in search of a warm place to stay. Kinsey is the team lead at this remote research station, and it says she loves the solitude and the way the desert keeps her far away from temptations teeming out in the civilian world. And when her crew finds this specimen, she breaks some rules, she breaks her quarantine, and she brings it inside, and she's starting to realize that the temptations she has are still there. And the more that this specimen is kept around, one by one, the crew is realizing that it is looking for a new host, and one of them is the perfect candidate. Then we have an anthology. It's a collection of essays, and it's called Why I Love Horror, and it's edited by Becky Siegel Spratford, and there's some really great authors in this collection, and it's really just an ode and love to the genre. So some authors include Grady Hendrix, Paul Tremblay, Stephen Graham Jones, Josh Mallerman, Victor Laval, Toronto Neve Dew, Rachel Harrison, like all familiar names, writing essays about why they love to write in horror, and I cannot wait for that. That sounds like something different. I haven't read any nonfiction this year, but this sounds interesting, and pretty much I've read and loved from all of those horror authors, so I can't wait to see why they love it so much. The Second Death of Locke by V. Bovalino looks interesting, and there's a lot of night books coming out this year, and I think that people are loving that. So this is probably one you should look out for. And the tagline is love, loyalty, and sacrifice. It is following Gray, who has given her life to her mage, Gear, and it says she will be his blade on the battlefield, his healer, and his protector. The deep well of raw power inside her is Gear's to use. Gray would do anything for Gear, be anything for him, if he would only ask. When a quest to protect the child of an enemy kingdom pulls them into a dangerous heart of their nation's war, Gray and Kier will need to decide what they are willing to sacrifice to protect their secret. For Gray is no ordinary magical well, but heir to the lost island of Locke, the root of all power. If she dies, all magic dies with her. So it's a romantic epic fantasy about the undying bond between a knight and their mage. And I've heard some early reviews for this one, and people are absolutely loving this, so definitely one to check out. Flash Beauty sounds absolutely wild, and one I want to read desperately, and this is by A. Rushby, and it's a gothic feminist horror in 2 timelines revolving around 3 anatomical Venuses, which are ultra-realistic wax figures of women that come to life at night to murder men who have wronged them. And we're following Elise, who is an antique dealer, and she has been wanting to find all 3 of these Venuses, and she's finally got the last one, Elizabeth, and she knows that there's a curse on them, and there's a lore about them coming to life at night and murdering men, and she needs to travel to London to try and break this curse. But then it's also set in London in the 1700s, and you're following real women, Eleanor, Emily, and Elizabeth. And Elizabeth takes Eleanor and Emily under her wing in this life of being a courtesan. And at first they are in awe of it, but the more they get wrapped up in this world, they realize that Elizabeth probably isn't the savior that they thought she was. And then the timelines begin to intersect, and as Elise begins to want to destroy this curse, burn these dolls, it says these haunted, murderous dolls might not be ready to burn. Sounds super creepy to me. Brynne Weaver has a new book coming out called Tour Season, and I love the synopsis of this one too. It just sounds so good. Welcome to Cape Carnage. Visit once, stay forever. So Cape Carnage is a seaside town, and it looks really friendly. It's got quaint houses and things, but it actually has a high body count. And we're following Harper, who is a gardener, and she won't let anything destroy her picture-perfect home, and she's got killer instincts. And she does not like troublesome tourists, so these tourists don't end up going back home. They end up as compost in her award-winning flower beds. And then we're following Nolan, who on the anniversary of this hit and run that destroyed his life, he kills somebody. And then the two of them meet, and she's not the monstrous woman that he was expecting, and she's not easy to kill. So it says that the two of them to start to work together. They have a truce because there's an amateur investigator coming to town and obviously looking for them both. And it says if Nolan helps Harper protect her town, she'll keep quiet about his hunting habits for now. But their alliance soon spirals into obsession, one that threatens to shatter every secret in Carnage, including their fragile love. And there is a pre-order campaign. There are a few of these, so everybody is eligible for an art print. 5 people will actually win a personal video message from the author herself, and 2 winners will receive an annotated copy of the book that the author herself has annotated, which is fun. Finally, September 30th, I've been here forever. We have Witch of the Wolves by Kaylee Archer, which is another book I have an arc of and have to get to. When a powerful witch discovers she's the daughter of an alpha werewolf and is taken by his pack, she's determined to break free of all the while denying her attraction to her abductor. We're following Cordelia, who comes from a long line of powerful witches, and she works at her aunt's apothecary where she secretly serves the supernatural. And then the truth of her family is revealed, and she is abducted by her father's pack. He is the alpha within this werewolf pack, and apparently it's for her own protection because other clans want to take her and help spread her bloodline because she is a lichen, which means that she is a mix of a werewolf and a witch. And her father wants to give her as a mate to Bishop, who is the second in command. He's soon to be the alpha, but she doesn't trust her father, and she learns that neither does Bishop, and he wants to overpower her father, and the two of them begin to work together. The cracks within the pack become evident, and something is bound to break, and Cordelia and her growing desire for the man who shouldn't set her on fire are right at the center of it all. The third book in the Sworn Soldier series by Tegan Fisher is coming out. This one's called What Stalks the Deep. Love these series. It's a series of novella, and they all follow a character named Alex Easton. And in this one, Alex Easton is investigating the dark, mysterious depths of a coal mine in America. Alex Easton does not want to visit America. They particularly do not want to visit an abandoned coal mine in West Virginia with a reputation for being haunted. But when their old friend, Dr. Denton, summons them to help find his lost cousin who went missing in that very mine, well, sometimes a sworn soldier has to do what a sworn soldier has to do. Love me some Tegan Fisher. I already know I like this series. Very excited that we're getting a third one. I wasn't sure that we were. This covers everything. It's The Mean Ones by Tatiana Schlote-Bonne. So what if Sadie here is talking dead animals and a strange, comforting male voice in her head? The therapist insists these are just symptoms of PTSD. It makes sense considering she hid under her bed and watched her best friends as they were slaughtered. So those murders happened 17 years ago when she was Sabrina, and she now goes by Sable. She's now an assistant to a physical therapist. She has a sweet boyfriend named Lucas, who's sweet most of the time, except when he's angry. And it says when Lucas spontaneously agrees to join a couple's trip to a cabin in the woods, the visions get worse. A strange figure stalks her during the night, and that male voice in Sadie's head keeps calling, asking her to do things she's never fathomed. Sadie's not sure if it's paranoia or something else entirely, but she is sure of one thing. This time, she's not going to sit idly by as everything starts to unravel. And there is a pre-order campaign for this one. If you order from Prairie Light Books, you get a signed personal book, a bookmark, and a sticker, all with this illustration on it that I love and is so haunting. Lila Sage has a new book coming out. I just read Done and Dusted for the first time. My first dipping my toe into cowboy romance, so I did kind of like that one, I'm not gonna lie, but this one is more up my speed. It's called Soulsearching. This follows a small town upholsterer in need of a fresh start, a photographer whose life has come to a screeching halt, and the supernatural forces that bring them together. So it's set in Wyoming, and it follows Collins, who doesn't want to go home, which seems to be a popular theme through a lot of the books I talked about in this video for some reason. And it says that a developer is trying to buy her family's antique shop out from under them, and so she doesn't have a choice, and that's what she tells her family. But she actually lost her job and she doesn't have any money, and there are ghosts that have always been her companions, but they have recently gone silent on her. But just because she's returning home doesn't mean she wants to live with her parents or crash on her best friend's couch. So she actually rents a room above the store, and it happens to be Brady's store, and he is kind of charmed by her and attracted to her, but she thinks she's a little out there because she seems to be talking to herself. And it says when he agrees to let elusive Collins stay in his spare room, he doesn't know that she's absolutely bonkers, constantly talking to herself and having a conversation with no one, or that she looked like that. But as they begin to get closer and the lines between them start to blur, leaving both of them and the ghosts that have been pushing them together, wondering whether or not their temporary arrangement could become something more permanent. And last but not least, we have a novella, and it's Holly by Angeline Grace. This is a novella within the Belladonna series. I've read Belladonna, haven't read the second book yet, or the third, but I really like that first one. And this is obviously a holiday novella, so maybe I should finish that series so I can read this in December. It says something strange is happening at Wisteria Gardens, the manor that Blythe and Iris call home. All they want is a peaceful holiday season with their family, but a group of restless spirits is determined to threaten their festivities. With a new mystery to solve, Signa, Death, Blythe, and Fate must uncover what happened to Wisteria's ghostly inhabitants and help the spirits move on before it's too late. So those are all the books on my radar in September. I'm sure there are a ton more, but this was enough. This is a long video. It's gonna be fun to edit this, I am sure. And I'm also going to make a blog post to go along with this if you want to check out the synopsis for them all written down and have the links and everything. And you can find the pre-orders there and everything as well. I just find that's easier. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that as well. So let me know if you're interested in any of these or what other books coming out in September are on your radar, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.